There is a white powder greater than all other white powders. It gives you energy. It improves your mental performance. It increases the size of your biceps. Unlike its competitors, this white powder is absolute rice and beans. It costs between 25 and $50 per year for daily use. This magic powder is a no-brainer for anybody and everybody. It is something that I've personally been using for years. And that white powder is creatine. Now, I don't have any creatine to sell you. I don't have some creatine sponsorship, but this stuff does actually work. So in this video, I will show you what creatine is, how it works, and how I would use it. So first of all, what actually is creatine? Creatine is a natural compound found in your muscles, and it helps regenerate ATP. ATP is basically the natural currency for your cell's energy. So how your cells actually produce energy, that is through ATP. So your body naturally creates a little bit of creatine on top of the fact that you can get creatine through some of the foods you eat, mainly from meat and mainly from red meat in particular. So if you're getting quite a bit of red meat in your diet, then you probably have a pretty decent level of creatine. The thing is, if we supplement creatine, if we use it properly, then we can get all of the benefits of creatine. Essentially, your muscles have a certain amount of creatine that it can hold. And after this point, your muscles can no longer hold anymore. This we would refer to as the point of saturation, where your muscles are fully saturated with creatine. This is the ideal point that we want to get to. And I'll explain this a little bit further when we get to how I would actually use it. But the point to note here is that if we're supplementing creatine in, if we're getting in more creatine than we would from what our body naturally produces and from our diet, so that we've actually saturated our creatine stores, we're going to get so many more benefits from the actual creatine itself than if we're just getting a little bit from the red meat we're eating. So supplementing it will be a really good option if you want all of the benefits from creatine. So when we're looking at why you should potentially take creatine, we have to look at two different factors in particular. The first one is your physical performance, and the second is your mental performance. So to start with your physical performance, when you take creatine, what is happening, especially when you've taken it for a while and you've fully saturated your creatine stores, is your body is able to regenerate ATP really, really well within the cells. So this means that if you're working out, you're going to be able to create a significant amount more energy during your workout. So for example, if you've taken a bunch of creatine over a prolonged period of time, you saturated your creatine stores, then you go in to do a weightlifting session, what you'll find is throughout the workout, you can push a little bit harder during your sets because you have a bit more energy. But on top of that, you're going to be able to stay in the gym for longer and you're going to have better energy over the duration of the workout because the cells in your muscles are producing more energy, which is a really great thing to have. So this is great if you're weightlifting, if you're trying to build strength, build muscle, but it's also just great if you're playing a sport, right? So if you're playing a soccer match, for example, and it gets to halftime, usually you'd be pretty exhausted at halftime. You've just been running around for 45 minutes, but because you have completely saturated your creatine stores, your cells are able to produce a little bit more energy. So you're just going to have more energy and you're going to be able to last a little bit longer throughout the game. This could give you that little edge, and this might be just what you need to get you over the line, to give you enough energy to have a really solid performance throughout the entire match. So pretty damn nice that you're going to have overall higher energy levels throughout, whether it is a sporting event, whether it is just in the gym, whether it's going for a run, whatever it is. Because your body can produce more energy, it is going to help you with your total output when it comes to athletic endeavors. And because you have more overall energy, because you can sustain yourself for longer, this also means that you can probably increase your training volume a little bit. If on a general week, right, let's say you did 2 hours of cardio per week. Well, maybe you feel a little bit better. Maybe that allows you to push for an extra half an hour, an extra 45 minutes, an extra hour a week because you have more energy, because you don't feel as depleted, you don't feel as tired at the end of your sessions. You can probably throw in an extra workout. You could probably throw in a few more sets at the end of your workout. You can increase your training volume because it doesn't feel overburdened on your system because you have a little bit more energy. So allowing you to increase your training volume can be really nice. And the more reps you do for most things, that's going to be a good thing. I mean, there's definitely some diminishing returns that kick in when it comes to weightlifting, but if this allows you to spend more time hitting balls at the golf range, or if it allows you to spend more time doing cardio, like generally this is going to have quite large returns. And if you can increase the amount of training volume you have by, let's say, 10 or 20% over the course of a year, that's going to add up big time. You might not notice that over the 1 week or one session, but if you think about it over the course of the year, that could have a significant impact on your overall performance in terms of any of your athletic or physical endeavors. And the last thing is it literally increases the size of your muscles. I'm not talking about increasing the size of your muscle because you can work harder in the gym or you can do more total volume. I'm literally saying that it increases the size of your muscles. And the way this works is that when you saturate your muscles with creatine, what's going to happen is your body is going to draw water into the cells of your muscles, which is going to increase the size of your muscles, literally increase the size of your muscles. Now, you might notice if you start taking creatine that your weight goes up a little bit. That's because you're going to hold a little bit more water. Now, some people have a bit of a concern is that, am I going to look bloated when I take a bunch of creatine? Is this going to make my face puffy? Am I going to look bad? Not really, because what's happening is your body is drawing water into the muscle cells, not just increasing your overall water retention. Your water retention will technically go up overall because you have more water in your cells, but it's not going to bring a significant amount more water to your face or to anything that's going to be noticeable and look bloated outside of the fact that the actual size of your muscle cells are going to increase. So that is a pretty nice thing to have. Most people, especially men, want to have increased muscle size. So literally just by saturating your creatine source, you are going to increase the size of your muscles, which is pretty fantastic. Real quick, if you would like to reach peak performance, I've left no stone unturned into giving you everything you need, including an entire course on how to leverage supplements to improve your cognitive performance and improve your physical performance. So if that sounds interesting to you at all, I'll leave a link in the description below for you to check out. So that was the physical side of things when it comes to creatine and why it is an absolute powerhouse. And to be honest, that alone is enough for you to consider taking creatine. But on top of all of that, it has a lot of cognitive benefits as well, which just makes this thing absolutely insane. Now, when we talked about the ATP production that happens in your muscle cells, this is also going to occur in your brain. Your brain will literally regenerate more ATP, aka more energy, which is huge because this is going to allow you to have sustained attention and problem solving. So over longer periods of time where you're working, trying to concentrate on tasks, because your cells inside your brain are able to regenerate more energy, it allows you to stay on track, on task, focused for longer periods of time, which is absolutely massive. So this will, in a very, very big way, reduce your overall mental fatigue. When we think about when we're doing work, when we're trying to get a bit of work done, and we're doing really well for the first 30 minutes, maybe even the first hour, we're doing really well, but the longer we get into that deep work block, the more mentally fatigued, the more tired we get. And we know what that feels like. It's a bit of a strange feeling, but your head's a little fuzzy. You're not quite there. You notice the mistakes start creeping in a little bit. But when you have more energy, when you have literally more energy in your brain, it allows you to sustain these periods of focus and concentration for longer, and it prevents you from having this real fatigue that comes mentally when you're trying to focus on tasks for a longer period of time, which is just monstrous. I mean, the fact that creatine, on top of the fact that it makes your muscles bigger, allows you to work out for longer, have more energy, it also allows you to sustain focus for a longer period of time. That is outrageously powerful. On top of all of this, it's going to improve your resilience to stress. Generally, the stress comes from when we feel tired, we feel mentally fatigued. Because you have a little bit more energy in those moments of fatigue, because you can regenerate that energy quicker, what's going to happen is you're going to make better decisions, more clear decisions under stress, under fatigue, which is just absolutely massive. Now, I'm not talking about huge percentages here. Like, this isn't some sort of stimulant that is going to significantly change the game mentally for you, but this might give you 10, 15%, like that little edge, which is really powerful, considering we're talking about something that is a tiny little powder that costs you, I don't know, 20 cents a day to consume and is incredibly easy. To give you all of these benefits is just insane. Even if this gave you a 5% boost, this would be worthwhile. The fact that it gives you even more than that and gives you cognitive benefits on top of the physical benefits just seems absolutely wild to me. And this is why I think it's such an underlooked compound, the creatine. Every single person should be taking this. I don't care if you don't care about your physique and you're fine with it. just the mental benefits are incredibly beneficial. And even if you don't care about the mental benefits, the physical benefits are so huge that it's worth taking it just for that alone. So how would I take creatine? What's the best way to actually take creatine to get the most out of it, to saturate your creatine stores? Make sure you're getting all of these benefits. First thing to note is the type of creatine you're taking. There's a lot of different types of creatine. You have creatine nitrate, you have creatine monohydrate. There's a bunch of different variations. The one I would go for is creatine monohydrate. There's lots of reasons for this. Big one is it's just the most studied. There's the most data behind it to support the efficacy of it, which is huge. On top of that, it's really damn cheap. Like, it's one of the cheapest forms. Like, you're getting pharmaceutical grade creatine for $25 to $40 a year, which is just wild. So damn cheap. And because it's clearly highly effective and because it's been so well studied, it just seems like the obvious choice. So I would go for creatine monohydrate first of all. In terms of the amount of creatine you want to take between 3 to 5 grams a day. That'll be enough to keep your stores saturated, keep you in that spot where you've absolutely capped out the amount of creatine you can take in. But you might be thinking, well, what if I haven't been taking creatine before? What if my stores aren't already saturated? Well, you can either just take 3 to 5 days. It might take you about 20 days for you to max out, to actually saturate those stores. If you're impatient, if you want the creatine saturation faster, what you can do is you could take 20 grams a day for the first 7 days. After that, your stores will be fully saturated. The fact that this stuff is so cheap means that that's actually probably the best way of doing it. You just take 20 grams a day for 7 days. Your stores will be fully saturated. And then after that, you go on a maintenance protocol of 3 to 5 grams a day. I didn't do this. I've just been taking 5 grams a day for 4 years probably. And it's been fine for me. But if you want to get the creatine benefits straight away, by all means, just go for the 20 grams a day for 7 days. Either way, we just want to make sure our creatine stores are saturated. Either way will get you there. But if you do a loading phase of 20 grams a day for 7 days, that'll just get you there quicker. So what about like cycling? Do I have to cycle on and off? Do I have to avoid and take certain days off to keep my tolerance, keep some sort of sensitivity to the compound? No. Not really. The fact is that we want to keep our creatine stores saturated at all times. This is where you're going to get the benefit. If you cycle off, all that's going to happen is you're going to start to lose that saturation in the creatine stores, and you're going to have to probably go another loading phase, or when you go back on it, it's going to take you longer to get saturated. So realistically, just take 3 to 5 grams a day. I don't see any point in cycling off this compound. Just continue to take it. It is so cheap. It is so effective. There's zero point in really going off it. You don't build a tolerance to it. You just keep topping up the stores so they're maxed out. So that's really what I would do to make sure I'm getting the most out of creatine. It's pretty damn simple. Take between 3 to 5 grams a day. If it's your first time taking it or you haven't taken it in a while, then maybe go on a 7-day loading phase of taking 20 grams a day. I would specifically go for creatine monohydrate. But this stuff is a pretty damn good thing to add. Now, just taking creatine alone isn't going to change the game for you. You have to get everything right, okay? We need to get the sleep right. We need to get the nutrition right. We need to get the training right. But things like supplementation are just the cherry on top. They help bring everything together. They help give you that extra 10, 20%, which can be very beneficial. So this is by no means some sort of supplement for training properly or eating well or sleeping. But when you start to dial those things in, which I explain in detail throughout this YouTube channel, then you will be set, right? This is going to give you that extra 10 to 20% on top of the fact you're getting everything else in place. So use this because it is very valuable, but just remember, this is not going to give you 20-inch biceps. You have to actually go to the gym. You have to eat properly. You have to sleep properly. Get everything right. Throw the creatine on top and you will be golden. So that was it for the video. If you liked the video, if you got some value out of it, if you're maybe considering taking creatine, then please like and subscribe. There's probably some videos around here that you might be interested in, so I'll see you in one of those.